Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be my 2020 goals wrap up and also my goals for 2021 video. This is also my first video with new glasses. I haven't fully adjusted to them yet. It's hard when I shift focus. It doesn't shift very quickly and it makes me a little dizzy, but I pretty much like them. They definitely show up on my face more and I haven't decided yet if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So first let's talk about how I did on my goals for last year. I had to go watch my old It's a New Year tag video to actually find out what my goals were. They were kind of like I remembered, but some of them I didn't remember very well, but they were basically to read more books by BIPOC authors, which I definitely succeeded at. I didn't have a particular number or percentage in my mind at the time, but as the year went on, around October, I decided that 40% sounded like something I wanted to hit based on other people's goals and the number I had been able to read so far, which was like 35%, and I ended up at 42%. And the way that I kept track of these things was in my little notebook. I was getting into calligraphy back then, so I did a little bit of calligraphy in my titling, and then kept hash marks of every time I read something from my goals. So I ended up reading 85 books by BIPOC authors out of 210 books total. Now about my 200 books reading goal, I didn't want to have a total books reading goal because it didn't seem useful to me. But then it was like June and I had already read like 120 books, and I thought it might be cool to set a goal and actually reach it at the end of the year. So I thought 200 would be really easy because I was halfway through the year and I'd already read more than half of that. I was consistently about 10 books ahead of schedule, and as you see I ended 10 books ahead of schedule. I also had a really excellent percentage of 5-star books. So this is a chart. So I had like 114 5-star reads, a few less than that 4 stars, few less 3 stars, and then I only had 4 2 stars and no 1 stars. So I'm very happy with how I picked what books I was going to read. And that plays into another of my goals from the beginning of the year, which was to get better at DNFing. And I was pretty good at that at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. I just struggled a bit in the middle, but thanks to some other booktubers' support, I ended up DNFing a whole bunch of books at once that I had been trying to read for a few months, and it just wasn't working. So I was able to end the year without having to read a bunch of books I didn't really like. And I have my friends in the book community to thank for being able to find so many 5-star and 4-star reads, because the vast majority of my picking what to read comes from watching other people's videos and listening to people talk on Twitter about the books that they love. I also talked about wanting to read more ACE books, and I definitely succeeded at that. For my little hash marks, I read 18 books with ACE or Arrow protagonists, somewhere on the A spectrum. I found a bunch of indie books by A-spec authors and also got through reading more of the well-known ones that are on most of the A-spec recommendation lists. And I also found a smaller, less known list that had more variety on it and read some from there, which I'll link below because it's a very useful list. And then of course a brand new book came out with ACE representation in Elotsoe, and I heard about that from Et2 Brody, so I'm very grateful to them for that. And then something that I didn't put in that video but that became a goal a little bit later on in the year was to read a lot of books with autism and other chronic illness or disabled representation. And I put those all in the same category because I didn't think I would find very many, and also because they fulfill a similar need in me for representation. That when you give representation to any of these groups, it helps the others to an extent because we have similar and overlapping problems. So for those, I ended up reading 16, which was more than I thought I would be able to find at the beginning of the year. And then the last goal I had was to be easier with trying new genres. Like genres that I had avoided had been paranormal anything, contemporaries. Yeah, those two are my biggest ones, and I read a bunch of both of those this year. I found a new paranormal series that I adore, and I've also read a bunch of contemporaries, including contemporary fantasies, which I didn't think I would be a fan of, that I ended up loving. So I'm very happy with that, and I think it did help that I was easier at DNFing this year, so I could try something, and then if it didn't turn out to be something I liked, I could just let it go. So having very vague goals at the beginning definitely helped me to feel like I achieved them in the end. So I'm gonna stick to mostly that method this year, but there is one thing that I wanted to set a firm percentage goal for, and that is to read 50% BIPOC authors, which I only started trying pushing that hard about 6 months into last year and ended up hitting 42%. So I think if I work at it from the beginning all through the year, I probably will be able to hit 50%. I've also found a lot more sources of BIPOC book reviews this past year, and so I think if I start out with all those sources instead of finding them a few months in, that will also help. I think my numbers from last year for ACE rep and also disability, autism, chronically ill rep were pretty good. So I think that if I can meet that same amount next year, so like from 15 to 20 of each of those, that would be a good number, because I want to seek out those, especially because I can be an Oh No Voices reviewer for them, but I think it will be hard to find more than 20 of those in a year without having to search really, really hard. Then I would like to again have over 50% of my overall reads be 5 stars. So with that, I'm going to continue to be really picky with setting which books I would like to read, and also be easy with DNFing, because I don't usually rate my DNFs unless something really offended me about them. And I need to tell other people so that they know. So if I pick good books in the first place and I'm able to DNF, that should help me achieve that goal. And then also within the goal of reading more books by BIPOC authors, I would like to specifically increase the number of Indigenous authors I read, and also authors from the Middle East, because those are ethnicities of authors that I haven't read very much this year. And at the end of the year during the Indigathon, I read a lot of books by Indigenous authors, and I read a few books by Middle Eastern and Indian authors near the beginning of the year, but overall those are perspectives that I feel like I'm lacking a bit, so I would like to read a bit more from those people and places. And then my last goal is that I would like to read more manga, because I read one manga series this year and one last year, and my library doesn't have a huge selection, so it's a little bit difficult, but they do have more of a selection than that I have so far read, so I would like to get more into that because I enjoy it so much. I just am sometimes intimidated by it, worrying that it will hurt my feelings because they tend to give me really intense emotions, and also it just hasn't been a priority of mine, so I would like to make that a priority. For my channel and content creation specifically, I would like to, on my second channel, my art channel, get back into making more watercolors. I just felt very bad art block for watercolors for quite a while. I even did a number of sketches that I wanted to turn into watercolors, but my brain was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. Even though I enjoy resin and other people also enjoy it, I would like to be able to do both. And for this channel, I would like to do more special groupings of books, like a recommendations video for paranormal books, a recommendations video for middle grade royals fantasy, and I'd also like to do a video that's an autistic person's top 10 favorite books with autism rep, and also do groups by ethnicity of authors. And I wanted to do some of these last year, but I felt like I hadn't read enough books to make up very specific videos like that. But now I feel like I've read enough where I can actually do that, so I'm very excited to try it out. So those are all my goals for 2021. I would love to know about your goals, and also if you have any goals from last year that you succeeded at and would like to celebrate. I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!